All right, it's been a really good start to bowl practice and bowl season. Guys came out with a lot of intensity, and I know they're excited. On behalf of the team, I'd like to thank the SRS Distribution Las Vegas Bowl for the invite. It's an honor to be there. To play in Allegiant Stadium, I know what an amazing venue it is after seeing Bud Crawford fight there. So I know it'll be really, really cool for our guys to have a chance to go to Las Vegas, go to a great town, great city, and have an amazing experience. I know Husker fans will show up en masse, and I'm pretty certain we'll set the attendance record for the bowl. So excited about that. Great opportunity to play, the number 15 team in the country, led by a legendary coach in Coach Winningham. Utah's an outstanding football team. They've only lost to Texas Tech and BYU, two teams who played in the Big 12 championship game. So unbelievably excited about that and the opportunity for our team to get better this week. As it relates to us, I've addressed one thing. We've let 3 coaches go. Don't foresee letting anyone else go. Obviously, Coach Butler, I discussed with you guys. Donovan Raiola, who worked his butt off for us for 3 years, an amazing man, great football coach. Made the decision to go in a different direction, just as we try to take another step offensively and just kind of go in a different manner. But I have to thank him for all that he's done, and no one's worked harder. And very appreciative to him. And then let Terry Braden go as the defensive line coach. And so we're actively pursuing what we'll do defensive line wise. Thank Terry for his work and his time here. I can talk a little bit about the coaches that we've hired. Just have to make sure they're going through the HR process, and I know that's all pending. I'll give you guys a chance. I know you guys want to tweet that out and get that out, so I'll give you guys a second to get it. I get it. Trust me, I get it. I get it. Really excited to add Rob in as our new defensive coordinator. What he did at Idaho in 1 year, what he's done at San Diego State in 1 year. Coordinated top 25 defenses at those levels. San Diego State led the nation in shutouts, held 8 of 12 opponents at 10 or fewer points, ranked at the top 10 in 10 defensive categories, including scoring defense, total defense, and pass defense. The people that I truly respect in this game, Jason Eck, the head coach at New Mexico, Matt Entz, the former North Dakota State head coach, now at Fresno, and when those guys are speaking on their behalf, Sean Lewis, his current head coach, and honestly, Andrew Marshall. I went to Marsh, played for him as a freshman, and Andrew had nothing but great things to say about Coach. So excited to get him here. He'll get here, go through the HR process, and be around our guys. Phil Snow's doing a great job as a defensive coordinator. So he's working. Phil will coordinate the defense, call the defense, do everything through the bowl game. Coach will be here through the 21st. We're gonna let the guys go, and then on the 26th reconvene in Las Vegas. So I'm anxious for him to get to know our players, get to watch our staff, and kind of move from there. And then Jeep Wade, Jeep is really respected as one of the top offensive line coaches in the nation, 22 years of experience. Over the past 3 years, Georgia Tech has ranked 7th nationally in the fewest sacks allowed, 9th in rush yards per attempt, and 13th in rushing yards per game. He's a guy that I've known for a long time, never truly worked with, but been around him, and he's excited to be here. So excited for those guys to join it. As I said, we'll work on the defensive line and look forward to working on that with Rob as we move forward. So with that, I'll take your guys' questions. I know you'll have quite a few.
Who will coach the defensive line in the bowl game?
Phil Simpson. When Snow took over, Snow wanted Eckler to get involved in the defense, and so Eckler's been down there with the edges, as has Phil Simpson, Ira Lewis, and if we make a move with Rob with someone, they might come in and help us as well in the bowl game. I think it's really important that the players. Get to know the guys that are going to coach them for next year, and the coaches have a chance to see the guys. That's why Jeep's in here now. He's coaching the O-line. I want to make sure that the guys have a chance to really see what it's going to be like.
Is the fact, obviously you appreciate the work that Donnie and Terry did, but the fact that you're making changes on the offensive and defensive line coaching, is that reflective of what you felt like didn't get done late in the season or even all season?
Yeah, I think it's more for me as we move forward. As I talked to Rob, he had some visions of how he wanted it to be, and so that was an area that, he had some notions about, hey, I want, this is important to me. So, I think it's important that, to have the coordinator come in and have like, hey, here's your staff. That's really hard to do. And so have some people that are familiar with what he does, so it's, I think that was on one side. And then I think just, in terms of on the offensive line play, just, as we move forward kind of with Dana's offense and where we want to go, just looked at, there's nothing about what happened before we, it's just really just looking at Jeep and the recruiter that he is, just the scheme that he runs. I think it fits really well with Dana. So, at the end of the year, I thought we ran the football. I was very complimentary of our offensive line, so I don't. It's nothing about that. I think, like I said, I think Donovan's one of the best offensive line coaches. I just think this is just a fit thing for as we move forward, and I don't want to minimize, Jeep's impact. I think we can have in recruiting. We'll probably announce another addition here at some point that I think will also have major impact, but it's just not done yet. I don't want to say it until it's done offensively. So I think there's some things that we want to do moving forward that don't necessarily reflect like anything that we didn't do past. It's just, hey, how do we make this jump? Like we've gotten ourselves to be a respected football team, but we want to become a great one. And just bringing in some guys that I think can help us do that.
Beyond his resume and just what Pierce said about Rob Arich, what about his personality kind of grabbed you, I guess, as you talked to him about the job?
Well, the biggest thing with Rob was like is purely the tape. I mean, when I watch the tape, it's the play style that I want. You just see people flying around. You see people playing at a really high level, and to me, for both stops, whether it was Idaho or whether it was San Diego State, it was in his first year as coordinator. It wasn't like, hey, this is going to take 2 years, this is going to take 3 years. It was like right off the bat. So I just fell in love with the tape. I fell in love with the film. The interview was very, very non-traditional. I mean, we brought him in here on Saturday. First thing he did was he sat down with Phil Snow and met with him for an hour, talked, and then went with Susan and Jarrett, and they toured the building, and then met me and my son, and we went over to Firethorn and sat down and showed him a couple neighborhoods and sat down and had lunch, and then he went and watched three youth basketball games with me. Like no PowerPoint, no chalkboard. He had to just talk football with me with the chaos of a basketball gym and all that. Because, that's to me, that's a lot of this job is like anybody can prepare, anybody can present, but who can think fast? And I was just honestly, I was blown away. I canceled a couple of interviews and just, still a couple of people I wanted to talk to in terms of references, but some of the most respected people I know said, you absolutely need to hire this guy. So I think it was his personality, but as much as anything else, it was the tape.
As far as the roster, we've seen some of the guys that have declared for the portal. I think Caden and Parker, Emmett's out for the bowl. Rocco's out. Is there any other guys that have opted out of being part of the bowl besides that group?
What I've said to the guys is, if they're not sure, if they're like, hey, coach, I'm going to the portal. Like, then just, go ahead and go start to live your life. If they're trying to make decisions, like we're meeting with guys, talking to guys, like, hey, I really want to be here. I'm not punishing guys. But if they know that, hey, this is, I'm going to move on, then, just go ahead and move on. Let's go to the bowl game with the guys that definitely want to be there. There might be one or two other ones I can think. There's no one that, there's no one that's like a starter that's opted out or anything like that. I know there were some questions about McCullough. He was just I think was just letting everybody know, hey, I can't wait for the NFL, but he's going to play in the game, and he's been practicing. So no one that comes to mind. If you ask me a name, it might hit me, but obviously the two you mentioned.
Just to be clear, are you saying there could be more changes on the defensive side, assistant-wise?
I'm not going to fire anyone else. There could be some, additions. There could be some restructuring, but the moves I'm making are over. I think. And let me say this. I'm sorry. Let me make it very clear because I don't want you guys to come. There's some young analysts and QCs in them who I've just for their own development. I've said, hey, it's time to go get jobs. But that's a different thing. They're not fired. It's just like, hey, you've been here for a couple of years. It's time to go. It's time to go get your own position group. I think that's, when I came up, you were a GA, and then you went and you coached Division II or 1AA and worked your way up, and now you can make a bunch of money and work out in this building every day and eat lunch in the best training table in football. And I'm trying to tell some of these young guys, hey, it's time. They're really good coaches. It's time to go coach. So, but in terms of like the position coaches or something like that, there's no other moves that I intend to make.
What's that conversation like with Arich? Does he have some autonomy in that?
Yeah, well, 100%. Yeah, we talked through all of this. Yeah, we talked through all of it in terms of this is where we see it. He'll come in and I always ask, kind of like Dan last year, hey, just watch the guys coach, and see if they're a fit for you. So could he come in and say, man, I absolutely can't work with this? Maybe, but Addison Williams, I think, is one of the best DB coaches in football. So, he's here. So. But yeah, I look forward to working with Rob. He kind of came in as we talked, like, hey, here's who I'd like to add in, and so I think the positions are there for him to do that.
Not that any opponent wouldn't get your attention for a bowl game, but Utah is really good. So the challenge of doing all of these things while simultaneously preparing for a team that's a 14-point favorite over you guys, how do you balance those two?
Yeah, it's why you have Phil Snow. It's why you have Daniel Holgerson, why you have Mike Eckler, right? Phil is a rock, and from day one, it's been like, hey, Phil, I need you to do this, and it's like, hey, let's get it done, right? So, even Eckler, doing double duty. That's why you have guys like that. So to step up and get our players to play well and get our players to play better. We were a defense that was top 15 in the country going into our last two games, and we were a defense the last two games that had what happened. And so I can't control who we play. I can't control how good Utah is. I can't control the guys who said, hey, I'm not going to play in the game. But the guys that we have to play better than we played those last two games, right? And so I can think of no better person for that on defense than Phil, right? It's not going to be scheme. It's going to be effort and technique. I can think no better person than Dana, and I'm excited than X. So I'm kind of handling all this stuff. Pat Stewart's handling personnel. And those guys are handling the football stuff. And then I think, like I said, I think Rob getting here will really kind of help us just all, settle down. And I think the players have been really good about it. So.
Does Utah get players' attention pretty quickly just with the way they play, and their style seems a little bit more like the Big Ten?
Yeah, I think our players are, they know what, you just hear the word Utah and you know what it means, right? Great defense, great running game. You watch their offense, it's exotic, it's exciting, it's, the quarterback runs, it's a lot of different things. And so, they know exactly what's at stake, and they're also unhappy with how, we played the last two games. And so, TJ's going to have to get healthy, we can't have him not be able to move around the bowl game. This is a great opportunity for Isaiah Mackay and Quentin Ives at tailback. Someone's going to step in at right guard for Rocco. So yeah, I think guys look at this as a great opportunity versus a great team.
And Matt, to clarify, when you were talking about Jeep Wade and you mentioned another addition that could have a major impact, you were referring to the offensive side.
Yes, sir.
As well?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
With Eckler and his stepping in to help the defense, do you envision that as specifically just a bowl game thing, or could he have a role in that area moving forward?
I did it really Phil did it for the bowl game. Mm-hmm. I think Mike's one of the best coaches in football. So if Rob sees value in that, I think that part of this is Rob getting here, having in his mind, hey, here's the guys I want to bring. But seeing, we have some great defensive coaches, right? So how am I going to utilize these guys, or what's the fit? So I don't know what it'll be with Mike yet, and I think it'd be premature. I probably need to spend some time with Rob and just kind of look at it.
What kind of sense did you get about Rob's energy, like his personality and the kind of energy that he could potentially bring to the coaching staff and the locker room?
Yeah, he and Jeep both remind me a lot of. I've known Jeep a long time, so let me just say but he reminds me a lot of Eckler. Like he coaches with tremendous energy and passion, and that's also what I see from Rob. I haven't coached with Rob, so I had to really go a lot off of go back to Andrew Marshall and kind of his experience with him. But also just the way they play. So in the interview process, that's kind of why I wanted to do that thing. I talked to him a bunch of times on the phone, but when he came here, I wanted to spend time with him in different places and just see his emotional intelligence and see how quick he was on his feet. I think he's going to be a guy that brings a tremendous amount of passion, to what we do.
Did you know somebody playing in those basketball games?
My daughters, yeah. I don't just go to youth games. It's a little creepy. Let's say, no, my daughters were playing. My daughters.
Hey, Coach, you mentioned
I can't believe that question. No, I'm sorry. No, I went and saw my daughters play. Yeah.
Sure, you mentioned TJ is getting healthy. How's he doing recovering from the hamstring?
Say it one more time. I'm so sorry.
How's TJ doing recovering from the hamstring?
Yeah, TJ practiced yesterday. So I mean, I thought it'd be a little bit longer, but he was out there. He was out there at practice. Now he was doing Indy and things like that. This is a big week for Davila to get a bunch of reps. So we really are kind of working him a ton, but he'll take some team reps tomorrow. So he looks way further ahead than I would have envisioned.
Coach, since you made the announcement about Donnie, have you spoken with Dylan about that specific move and about Dylan's future here?
Yeah. Again, I'm so sorry, but you guys know I'm not going to talk about any player's future. Like, I'm just not doing that. Like, that's their job, right? That's each player's job. If they have to announce their own things, because I would never want to misspeak. But yeah, I talked to the whole team about Donnie, and certainly to Dylan. I mean, that's his uncle. He loves him, right? So. I certainly talked to him, but I talked to all the O-linemen. I talked to all the guys. I mean, Donnie was loved by a lot of guys. And so, at the end of the day, I don't like firing people. I don't like affecting their families. I don't like moving on from people. But I do have to do what I think is right for the program. And, so I certainly talked to Dylan, and I certainly talked to all the O-linemen. I talked to talked to the team. In terms of people's futures, I think that's up to each person, right? Like Emmett came and saw me and told me, hey, this is what I'm going to do. And I told him how proud I was of him. But, that's his announcement to make, not mine. So.
Speaking of the running back position, how do you lay it out to Isaiah and Quentin and Mekhi now that they know Emmett's not going to play in that game and they have an opportunity?
Just that. I mean, I think they've been waiting to get on the field, and so I mean, you can think about it. You even think about a guy like Kenneth Williams is what was he, second team or third team All Big Ten kick returner? Second team all. We had two All Big Ten guys in the running back room. You know what I mean? Like now one's a kick returner, but what if Kenneth gets in the game and takes a speed sweep? I mean, can he do that? You'd say based off his kickoff returns, he probably can. So I think all those guys are kind of chomping at the bit to get their opportunity. They're competing in practice because you're not going to play four backs, so they're competing. But we've seen all year in practice what Isaiah can do. There's no doubt in any coach's mind what Isaiah can do. There's no doubt in any coach's mind what Mekhi and Quentin can do. We've been big believers in them. They just had to wait their turn behind a guy that was really, really hot. And we weren't playing 80 plays a game. We had some long drives on defense. Those guys might get a touch here, a touch there. When they got their touches, I always thought they did something really good. So to be quite honest with you, I would have loved for Emmett to play in the game. I would have loved for him to I wanted to see him try to catch Amir. I love Amir, so I wanted to see for single season yardage and all those different things. But this is probably a great thing for these guys, and so I'm anxious to see how they play, and I'm anxious to show them to show what they can do, and so that's really been my thing. I was like, hey, you guys know what you can do. You got your opportunity now. Go do it. So
do you feel like you want a hot hand going into the bowl game, or are you willing to kind of balance those carries?
Yeah, so historically, what I've always preferred is to have really three backs and two backs play, and one back be the next guy. So I've always liked to have a 17 carry back, and one guy gets 17 carries, and one guy gets 14, right? Or one guy gets 20, one guy gets 10. This was just a unique year in that Emmett was on a tear, and we just stayed with Emmett. And because of his running style, he you could think back on this year. How many times do you ever see Emmett take a big hit? Because Emmett is such a start and stop, make you miss type of a guy. So he never took a big hit. So I think we'll probably play two of them, but with maybe and we'll have to see how this next couple weeks go, and then Dana has to make some decisions. And then Quentin's always kind of been the backup third down back, so maybe that's his role too if he's not one of the top. I don't know yet, but Dana and EJ, I think EJ's done a great job. Dana and EJ both will have a lot of decisions to make, and the guys will compete it out.
You might not know with TJ when he can come back, but when do you hope he can come back?
Well, I think he'll practice on Wednesday. I think I think the biggest thing is I want him on game day to be able to use his legs. I mean, you're facing a Utah defense that gets after it, right? So if he's having to play like he did at Iowa, where he just couldn't quite move and had to stay in the pocket, that would not be to his best interest. And so we'll be methodical to get him healthy for it. And then this week is sort of like a developmental practice, developmental stuff, and then we do a true Utah game week next week, and then a second game week at the bowl prep. So I certainly would love to have him have both of those game weeks full speed.
As Coach Holgerson mentioned a couple of times after his injury, is Dylan still fully involved in practices, meetings, team activities, that sort of thing?
Oh yeah. It just looks different, right? He's in treatment, but he's if we were walking over here, he was on his scooter going into treatment, So. Yeah, Dylan's done everything.
At the bowl game last year, there was some personal attachment for you going to New York City. Is there anything about this group that's unique about going to Vegas?
Well, I just think, the one thing, I think the one thing that's really special, it really speaks to, our fan base. It speaks to Husker Nation that this bowl game wanted us. You know what I mean? Like there's a pecking order, and they jumped some people that maybe had a better record than us, but they were like, hey, we want Nebraska fans there. And so I think that's really cool. Obviously last year we went to the Pinstripe Bowl, was great. It's hard to get to for some people. It's hard, this is after Christmas. This is New Year's Eve. It's a great destination. When you look at what we did our fan base did at Maryland and what we did at UCLA, I've never seen anything like it. And so I just, obviously Utah's red too, but I just foresee, just Husker fans. I mean, that's the one thing that's unique. Like a lot of schools, you're a fan of your school and then you move off somewhere, you kind of become a fan of that local team. Nebraska fans stay Nebraska fans. And so I could just see how easy it is to get to Vegas, just having an unbelievable crowd there, unbelievable experience. And so this bowl game matters to our team, and like I said, it's a great opponent, so it should be a great experience. And to be back playing on New Year's Eve, we'd like to play in the New Year's Day, we'd like to play in the college football playoff, but for where we are right now, to get to a New Year's Eve bowl and play a 10-2 team, we're excited.
Can you just see game? You guys.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
In the USC game, you guys held them significantly below their average. Now you're facing another high-powered offense. Obviously, there's some differences there, but do you take anything from that game or draw anything from that to apply to this bowl game?
Yeah, we didn't. We weren't last two games. We weren't as physical, and we didn't play as hard on defense as we had and play with as much technique. And so I came in here after that game and said to you guys, if it gets toxic, if it gets whatever, put it on me. Phil Snow has said, put it on me now. So Phil's taken this really personally. And Phil has challenged the coaches to coach better and put our players in the best position possible. So we played USC, and if you go back to that game, I think there was 5 plays in a row. There was over a course of 5 plays, we gave 150 yards. Other than that, we even played better than that. Again, I can't control how great Utah is, but we can certainly be more proud of the tape than we were the last 2 games. And so whatever the reasons are, I have to figure those out. What happened the last 2 games? I've tried to address it, and now Phil Snow has to get the guys to go out there and play at a high level. And so, we know we did some good things this year. We just ended it on a really bad note, and that has to be improved.
You touched on it, but just how much are you looking forward to having a traditional bowl week instead of having Christmas thrown in there and just spending that much more time with the guys and guys?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be great, and just to let the guys be able to go home for Christmas if they're able to. I mean, I think that's they might be flying on Christmas Day, but at least they get some time at home with their families. I think it's great. We want bowl games to be a reward. We're sitting out there. Jarrett and I were sitting out there yesterday watching practice and watching all these young guys fly around, and he's like, just think of how beneficial in a time where people are saying should we play in a bowl game? A bowl game's worth it. It is so worth it. Just to see the guys practice. But I'm anxious to go out to Las Vegas. They've done a great job with the bowl prep with in terms of the events and things like that. I think our guys are going to have great experiences, and to me, that builds team when they have good experiences together. So I'm anxious for it.
What did Marshall tell you about Orange?
He said to hire him. I said, what do you think? I mean, he was like, no, he's like, Coach, he'd be a great fit, And I think he's talking to you guys today. Marshall's talking to you guys today? Yeah, if he can. But, I think it was really important that you hear from his perspective. But, to me, when a player says something good about a coach, it's like, all right, the guy must be a really good coach. And he just said, hey, Coach, he'll do a great job. He'll coach a great system. That's one of the biggest things I wanted. I just want, Tony had a system. I probably put John in a really tough place, and that John came in and trying to keep the system that we had gone down the path of, so I probably did not do a good enough service to Butler. So in this reboot, I know the style I want to play, which is fast and physical and violent. I think you've mentioned a couple of times how fast we looked in the first year and how it's kind of every year looked, and I just can't live with that, right? So I wanted a system. I didn't want game plan plays. I didn't care if it was 4 down, 3 down, 5. I wanted someone to come in here and show me here's how we're going to win the Big Ten. And his system, he's a 4 down quarters guy coming out of sort of that family of people. And I love that part about him. And Marshall was just like, Coach, he's a great coach. And so he has the energy, he has all that. But like you always hear when I talk about Eckler, the thing I always talk about is he's a great teacher. He has got a great system. You know, some of his assistants that are working under him, like people are trying to hire them right now because they want Eckler's system. It's not Eckler's energy. It's not the blood on the face on the sideline. It's the teaching progressions are so elite. They're so elite that like he could leave tomorrow and we would be doing the exact same things that Mike's brought to us. So he's made our program better. I want the same thing on defense.
So on the 4-down thing, do you actually feel like it might be a fit for some of the players you currently have more than what you were trying to do this year?
Yeah, I think again, I think the guys we have coming back next year, and again, we all know that there's, things change and all that, but I think like some of our guys that were like 270 pounds that had to play inside, we want them to be able to play outside. We want to have 270-pound ends. We want to have, and so I think it'll be a fit for who we are. And then we have some of our bigger guys that are coming along and developing, and then we have a couple really good young, like you think about, like we signed Tyson Terry and Malcolm Simpson last year, and are excited about them, and they get back in the fold. And so, but I think when I look at the guys we have, I look at the Waneries, the Cam Lenharts, the Pet Shocks. Like I say to myself, like you get in a 4-down structure, those guys aren't having to play 3 technique. Keona to me, when I can have him go be outside and set the edge, he's going to be really good. And so that 4-down structure, it fit. I thought the 3-down stuff that Tony brought was also some 4-down too. It was really good. We obviously had a lot of success with it, but we're going to kind of just move in this direction now.
Can you speak to the? Go ahead, Amy.
Big picture question. There are some teams out there that have opted out of bowl games this season. Just what are your thoughts on that?
I have no thoughts. I don't know their situations. I know that. How much pain I was in the first year that I was here when we were 5-6 and lost the last game and didn't get to go to a bowl game. I know how much those guys wanted to go to a bowl. I remember students stopping me on the street being like, Coach, I came back to school for one more year. Can you please, we don't care what bowl game it is, just get us to a bowl game. So I'm unbelievably grateful to be in a bowl. And I think I love football. I hate like this week where there's no college games on. Like I can't wait for bowl week. I want to watch all those games. I would hate to talk about other people's situations because they're all in unique situations. But for us, we're going to play as many games as we can ever play. So,
Can you speak to just what the environment with your personnel staff is like this month, considering that we see a lot of announcements, so-and-so intends to, at other schools, intends to enter the portal. We don't have the portal open this month, but so how does that play out in the offices up there as far as getting ready for what's going to happen in January?
Yeah, it's why Coach Saban said it, and it's why like a bunch of us in the Big Ten meetings voted to have a May portal, right? Because it's still the chaos of this, right? Like kids should go to school for a year. They should go to college and be there for the fall and then the spring, and if they're so that's why Coach Saban said it so well on College Game Day. You got coaches opting out because they have to go get their roster built for their next team, and it's just it could have been done differently, but it is what it is. So yeah, our guys are working. They're working overtime. We have. It's just amazing from where we started, like with like one or two recruiting guys, to now like we have AI programs and we have the telemetry programs and we have computer vision to track speeds on guys, and it's just you're recruiting the 27 class, you're recruiting the 28 class. You're still talking to some 26 kids that haven't signed yet. You're looking at who's going to be in the portal. You're hearing announcements from people. It's around the clock, and you're also working on your own team. Trying to get the guys here to stay here and not that you feel like you need to have here. So this is their training camp. Like this is their busy season, and it's so amplified from where it was. Every year we've taken a step personnel wise.
Coach, how much will Orich have a say in the defensive line hire? How much of a say did Dana have in Jeep? And what's your philosophy on coordinators in that sense?
Yeah, the Dana was involved in the Jeep and is involved in every hire. Like when he took over, I said, you watch these guys, you tell me who you want to keep. I wouldn't have thought that he would have wanted to keep Marcus. Like I'm going to keep the coordinator that was just here, and he was like, I love Sat. After working with him for a couple weeks, I want to keep him. When to bring in DeKeel, we did that. When to bring in Andrew Verbois, did that. So yeah, the coordinators have a ton of say in kind of what we're doing, and so will Rob in terms of defensively. We obviously had a lot of those conversations going into it. I told him, hey, here's who I believe that we need. There's money components to this, right? Like great assistant coaches. They recruit. they develop players and they develop men. And so I want all three of those things. And so if you're not going to recruit well, then you have to be an analyst. You can't be a position coach. And so talking through that with Coach, but we've already done a lot of that, and so I could have waited to make some of these moves till after the bowl games. I also feel like I have a responsibility to the coaches that I'm letting go to give them the most time to go find another job. So we've done them semi quickly once we kind of knew. But yeah, the defense, the coordinators will always have a say in everything.
How big of a deal was the NIL commitment from PlayFi Sports?
Huge, yeah. It goes without saying. I mean, what the Pete family did with 1890 and what Matt Davison and Joe Seelig and all the people over there, what they did was awesome. But to be able to have one of the things that we have in Nebraska is we have a fan base unlike any other. We have multimedia partners. We have a financial budget here, unlike many places. And so, there's real companies that will do real NIL with our marquee players, and that is a huge recruiting differentiator for us moving forward. So, as opposed to previously, where like teams were here and we were here, and then we were here. This now allows us to kind of be here now, and so and have it be real. Like I want our players representing companies. I want our players out there like. My wife has NIL deals for her company with athletes, with female athletes at Nebraska. Not for me, but because she's like, this helps my business. So I think it's awesome. I think it's what makes Nebraska Nebraska. It's what's going to allow us to become great. And so I can't thank Dr. Gold. I can't thank the board. I can't thank Troy. I mean, what Troy Dannon's done from where we started to where we are now is absolutely amazing. I know it sounded like a lot of people are kind of nervous, like what's happening with this. It's all moving in a really, really positive direction. So we're going to have the best of the best kind of in all worlds. And, I still think there's a lot of opportunities for businesses out there. Like, sometimes people will call me like, hey, Matt, you want to come speak at our employee function? Like, why not have Luke Lindenmeyer come in and talk about his journey as a walk-on? Why not have, any of our guys talk about their things? And so that's what makes our fan base in this state so great. And, we're kind of out there with it and we're proud of it. And I want recruits to know that. And hey, if you're a good player here and a good person, you have a lot of opportunities to make real NIL money here and not just promises that kind of fall apart.
Was that then what led to kind of, just to help me understand the kind of moving on from 1890 to bringing it in-house, was PlayFi a direct result of that? Yeah,
well, I think the thing with everything with 1890 was just sort of a result of the House settlement, collective deals are kind of a lot harder now, and so it's got to be real, like real NIL for companies and business ventures. So I think it's there, so it's just a different model now. So it's time for just a different structure.
All good.
Anything else? Thanks.